Hello everyone, this is the finale of What If Naruto and Sakura Got Close, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Previously, Naruto was trying to control the demon trying to get out of him. Just then, an Anbu appeared in the room. Hokage-sama, we have a problem. Sasuke has escaped. The Anbu told her. Naruto's eyes shot red in an instant and the room was engulfed in red chakra. SASUKE. Chapter 12, Redemption Part 1. What do you mean he escaped? Tsunade bellowed at the Anbu in front of her. The unfortunate ninja shivered in fear at her forceful voice. What in Kami's name were you doing? The Hokage couldn't believe that 10 Black Ops units couldn't manage to guard one boy. The ANBU, who has been trained and trained again to be professionals in what they do, could not handle one meager ninja. Alright, maybe Sasuke wasn't as scanty as she had thought, but with the given circumstances, you'd think Sasuke couldn't afford, or is even capable, of escaping without much bodily harm to be able to kidnap someone else. Hokage-sama, he did not escape on his own, the Anbu told her. It would appear that someone let him out. There was no way he could have gotten out of there on his own. The elder woman's fury eased a bit. She could feel a migraine coming as she rubbed the temple of her forehead. The latter statement of the ninja made her mind ease a little, but it also frightened her. It was comforting, yes, because she would have been ashamed to think that the special Black Ops couldn't conduct such small missions, if you could even call it that considering how low a job of a bodyguard is, but then again when an Anbu guards anyone, it never is a leisurely easy job. She had suspected that Sasuke would try to escape, that's why she made sure to have a number of ANBUs guarding him, but she did not expect for this to happen. She also feared what he had said because she knew, it had to be him. There was only one man who would have gotten him out there, the very same man that placed him back in Konoha. It would explain the ease and swiftness in which it was done. Only a ninja with years of experience and proper training could possibly do such a thing in one easy sweep. How long since you found out? Well, judging by the how long? About 4 hours ago, the ninja said inadequately. Tsunade feared as much. Sasuke was not one to be underestimated, she knew that now, and estimating by how fast he went from the tower to the hospital and back out within 3 hours and not being noticed only meant that he had probably gotten far by now. If what the Anbu reported was true, then Sasuke must have gotten Sakura right about the time she told Naruto about Sakura's condition. Go, you're dismissed. Tsunade sent the Anbu away. The woman couldn't help but hope that Sasuke knew what he had done. The poison in Sakura's body needed to be cured as soon as possible, but now that Sasuke had taken her, Tsunade feared that it was too late to save her. Not unless Naruto got her back in time. Flashback. Naruto's eyes shot red in an instant and the room was engulfed in red chakra. SASUKE. Naruto roared throughout the hospital. Everything in the room went flying as the chakra's power swirled around his body. Naruto's arms grew bigger, his entire body enlarged, and his canines slowly turned into fangs. Naruto calmed down. Tsunade tried to pacify the beast appearing in front of her. She didn't want Naruto to make a blind mistake by letting his emotions get the best of him. Naruto's hair grew considerably longer and his whisker marks darkened. Naruto, stop it. If you want to help Sakura you must calm down. Tsunade said as she tried to fight the gust of wind. Naruto growled. The windows shattered due to the harsh impact of the sudden burst of his chakra. The chairs, monitors, and even the bed started to shake. Naruto, you must stop. Before anyone had the chance to do anything else, Naruto sprinted out the window. Naruto. Tsunade darted to the window, but Naruto was already gone, ensnared by his malicious demon. Should we go after him, Hokage-sama? The Anbu asked her. Tsunade had nearly forgotten that he was still in there. No. She wanted so much to just go after him herself, but she understood more that this was not her choice to decide for Naruto at this point. Let him go. Tsunade knew that only Naruto could do anything else at this point. It was not her battle. End flashback. Tsunade could do nothing more for him at this point. It was no longer in her hands, and she knew far too well that it was only his business and no one else's to go after him. Maybe she had doomed him by letting him go alone, so enraged and blinded by his emotions, but she had something much more than Orochimaru and Sasuke would ever have. She had faith in him. If there was anything Naruto had made clear to her, it was that he never failed because his intentions remained true and pure, unwavering, and most importantly, Naruto never gave up, because that is his way of the ninja. Naruto, bring her back, Tsunade said hopingly. A flash of red tore through the forest. An animal-like figure on all fours sprinted from side to side, destroying anything that came in its way. He stopped for a minute to sniff the air. Sakura. He was getting closer and closer. The scent was so strong he could almost touch it. It was nearly daylight, the sun was almost shining through. He had been traveling like this for a while now, but he never took one moment to rest. Time was precious to him and all he wanted was to get to her. He pulled his nose back down and within a second, the thing was gone, leaving behind destruction with its blight fury. Well, now, everything just worked out for the better. Orochimaru maniacally laughed. In the turn of events that just happened, Orochimaru went from extremely frustrated to jokingly happy. Sasuke managed to redeem his good status with Orochimaru's unpleasant grace. Ha ha, he sniggered, here I thought you had become pathetically useless. Uchiha Sasuke stood in front of the devil's zealot. He disdainfully watched as Orochimaru laughed in every way possible. If there was one thing he hated more than his brother, it was disrespect. Just when I thought you couldn't be of any more use, you pull through for me. The snake hissed out. Sasuke gritted his teeth. He hated hearing those words, useless, pathetic. He ardently loathed it. He thought by now that he deserved to be treated better, if anything to be treated equally. However, as Orochimaru danced and paraded about chortling how useless and pathetic he was, Sasuke couldn't help but hate him. Of course he had hated him long before, he hated him even when he was his mentor and only friend, but never in a way that made him so angry at himself and regret what he had chosen to do. The feeling was all too uncomfortable for him, having never regretted anything in his life, and even if so, he never really hated himself for it. So he decided to push it aside for now and remain focused on the issue at hand. So, you have what you wanted, now let us go. Sasuke said at Orochimaru's exasperating words. Orochimaru stopped his audible musings to give Sasuke an inquisitive look of amusement and frustration. He became stern and walked towards Sasuke. Ah, but indeed I have not what I want, Sasuke-kun. Sasuke clenched his fist in aggravation. Look, I did what you want, I took Sakura so that Naruto would follow me and come here to you, Sasuke yelled back. There's nothing more that I need to do. Orochimaru thought for a minute. For a moment he thought about letting Sasuke go and disappear with that pink-haired woman, but decided against it. No. It would be so much more fun if Sasuke stuck around the moment Naruto fell for his trap and become a part of him forever. Orochimaru had seen that Sasuke reacted differently when the Kyuubi vessel was mentioned. To his dismay, he found out that Sasuke was attached to his next vessel. Yes, it's there. He could feel it whenever he spoke about the man around him, but whether it was gleaming admiration, seething hatred, or something much more that he could not comprehend, or rather he had never known or experienced, was the question. Was Sasuke indifferent in what they had sealed as their deal? No, you're not going anywhere just yet. What? We had a deal, I bring you Naruto and you let me take Sakura. Orochimaru was a little ashamed that Sasuke has learned nothing about dealing, especially with him. Sasuke-kun, your part of the deal is not even complete yet, is Naruto here? Sasuke just couldn't take another minute in there with him and stormed out the room. It was at sunup when he finally gave in. His body was too fatigued to go any further, he had to rest. Naruto's entire form changed in a second and he became human again. No longer were his fangs sharp, or his eyes set on K. He stumbled upon a little stump and there he rested his head. He panted heavily because after all he has been running for hours. Naruto placed a hand where his scar was, it was still hurting after all this time. Hey! Naruto's head jerked up at the sudden voice. To his surprise, he saw his beautiful cherry blossom, glowing with pure, unbridled beauty. Sakura-chan, how? Sakura walked towards him and kneeled down. How what, Naruto? He didn't know whether he was dreaming of her or whether he had gone completely insane, but either way, he wasn't going to fight it. You poor thing, you look so tired. Sakura's voice mended the pain of his scar. Why don't you just rest for a while? How her voice just made him want to sleep, to lay down his tired, worn-out body for a second. He desperately needed rest, for his own health and her well-being. But I need to go and find you, Naruto said to her, remembering why he was in such a hurry in the first place. Silly. I'm right here. Why are you looking for me? Naruto knew now that he was dreaming. Sakura-chan. Nothing. I don't know why I'm looking when you're here the entire time. He finally gave in, because even if this was a dream or he was hallucinating, this Sakura was just as insistent as the real Sakura. He could argue with her till sundown and the result would always be the same. He would lose and she would get her way. Sakura smiled. You work too hard, Naruto, just rest for a bit. Her voice sent him in a trance and, like a baby being rocked to sleep, he dozed off. You're going to need all you've got for what's to come, Naruto. There was a blinding white light and Naruto awakened. Just a dream. His body, however short that nap was, felt rejuvenated and refreshed. Naruto got up and prepared to move on, and as soon as he was up, he disappeared into the woods. Sakura fidgeted in her sleep. Naruto, she said weakly. Even in her sleep she thought about him. Sasuke brushed aside her hair. He sat there looking at her as she restlessly slept. But soon you will forget all about him, Sakura. All he wanted to do now was just leave with her, to take her as far away from all this so she could forget about Naruto and remember her feelings for him. In his youth that may have been possible, back when she was his willing servant and would do anything he desired. But, just like everything else in his life, it all lesson was lost in their memories. He regretted now that he paid no attention to her, for just shoving her aside and calling her nothing more than a nuisance. But who would have thought that one day he would be wanting her so much, though it wasn't exactly love he felt for her. Why do you want her so badly anyway? Sasuke had been so busy in his thoughts he didn't hear Orochimaru coming in. You could have anyone you want, yet you choose this woman. That's exactly why I want her. Sasuke turns around to get up. Because I can't have her. This had always been his way. Once he set his mind onto something, or in this case, someone, he would stop to no end to get it. Because he couldn't have her now when he could have easily gotten her long ago made him want her. And the more he couldn't get her, the more he wanted her. Because she is unattainable. It was his curse, his burden. Uchiha Sasuke was weak for anything he couldn't get. It was the reason why he left Konoha. He couldn't get enough of the power he tasted from Orochimaru. It was the reason he wanted Itachi, because he could never be as powerful as he is. And it was the reason why he wanted Sakura now, because Naruto has her and he doesn't. Naruto, Sakura said weakly in her sleep. And because Naruto got her before he did. Orochimaru laughed. Well, it would seem that she still loves the boy. Not for long she won't. Sasuke was determined that she would forget all about that stupid fool. Soon it will all end. Sakura grunted in her sleep. She's not doing well, the poison is getting to her. Her body was cold, her skin pale, and her breathing was heavy. She needed to be cured now. Sasuke's expression suddenly changed from the hating look he was displaying just a moment ago. It altered, transformed to guilt. Was it really guilt that he was expressing now? He had never shown such emotions, his very life for the last few years did not allow him to. He was trained, as Orochimaru's pupil and as a ninja as well, to never show emotions, especially guilt for what he had done. He trained his body and mind to never allow himself to show such degrading and pitiful actions, to show human qualities of weakness. But her sudden outburst of pain and misery cracked his defenses, if only a little. Sasuke-kun, I hope you're not getting soft here. Orochimaru much more demanded of him than asked. To which Sasuke gave him a glare before walking away. Sasuke walked out the room and back into the corridors and into the main chamber. As he strolled along, all Sasuke could think about was getting the cure from Kabuto, or Orochimaru. Orochimaru had also promised him that the moment he got his new body, he would give him the cure. However, remembering the memory of when Orochimaru said it made him quiver. The way Orochimaru had said it, the way he looked sadistic and how he was smirking, made the hair on the back of his neck rise. Orochimaru was keeping something from him. Whatever it was, Sasuke knew for sure that he would rather not find out. The instant that he stepped into the main chamber, a kunai came flying in the direction. He immediately went on standby and tuned towards the area the kunai came from. Sasuke looked a little ridiculous as his usual battle stance was affected by the abrupt threat that had just happened. He was leaning slightly forwards as if he was about to fall. You thought that you could take her away from me and get away with it. Naruto jumped down from where he was standing. You have another thing coming. Naruto's eyes were full of rage. The bee rush from the excitement of finally catching up invigorated his usually already energized self. Finally, he was here. Back inside the room where she was held, Sakura squirmed in her bed. She had been shuffling here and there from the moment she arrived. In her subconscious, she could hear a voice telling her to get up and move. She could not quite comprehend why her mind was telling her so. Why? She thought hard to remember, but she couldn't. Nothing rang clear as to where she was and why she wanted so badly to get away from it. What was the last thing she remembered? She tried to think, to remember, but how could she if she didn't even know what it was she was supposed to be remembering? Then she heard the faint sounds of something clashing together, and she could faintly see a room as she descended backwards. The sounds were like those of pots hitting the floor in the kitchen. A vague glimpse of gold and orange. What is that? And then it started to form, a figure, with golden hair and an orange body. No, it was his pants. Sakura-chan. And just like that, her mind flooded her with memories and she remembered who she was and what happened. Sakura shot up from her bed. Naruto. Previously. A vague glimpse of golden and orange. What is that? And then it started to form, a figure, with golden hair and an orange body. No, those were his pants. Sakura-chan. And just like that, her mind flooded her with memories and she remembered who she was and what happened. Sakura shot up from her bed. Naruto. Chapter 13, Redemption Part 2. The room was as silent as the two ninjas stared each other down. The hairs on the back of their necks rose, but whether it was from excitement of finally meeting or the fear of each other was no longer significant to either of them. They were here now and that was what mattered. Where is she? Naruto demanded from him, although his osmotic senses could smell that she wasn't far off. Sasuke, however, chose not to answer his immediate question. He was too fixated on trying to find something he could use as a weapon. If there was one thing he learned while training with Naruto, it was to keep him busy from attacking. He searched within the room for anything, a sword, a knife, a rat, anything, but nothing was in the desolate, dark room. Only the few torches that hung on the walls and columns. He would have used them, but they were too far up to reach. Seeing as there was nothing he could use as a physical distraction, he settled on a more constructive tactic. Conversation. Don't worry about her, she's fine. His voice allowed for no emotion to slip through, careful not to sound too cautious of him. He didn't want, no, he didn't need for Naruto to know that he was caught completely off guard and vulnerable. He had to hide it long enough for something else to happen, for Naruto to drop his guard, or until Orochimaru got there. Unfortunately for Sasuke, even though he was now in his best defensive stance, he could not prepare for the swiftness and alacrity that was Naruto's momentum. In one rapid stroke of his vigorous fist, Sasuke was sent flying across the stone-hard ground. How could you, Sasuke? Naruto's voice darkened as he clenched his fist tighter, making it turn pale and be. I thought that you were. What Naruto heard next baffled his mind. Sasuke started to laugh. He really couldn't respond any other way. He couldn't get up and start talking like nothing happened, so he just started laughing. For no reason, it just seemed appropriate at the moment. He slowly stood up, oscillating a little when he finally got up due to the blow he just received. Quote. Sasuke's words struck him. Did he really let himself to believe that Sasuke would be the way he used to be before everything got screwed up? Seriously, Naruto. Did you honestly believe that I would change? Have changed? I did, Naruto said weakly, betrayed by his own self for letting Sasuke do this to them. He let his hopes take control and fog his better judgment when Sasuke came back. He thought, or wanted to think that everything was finally okay, that everything was back to the way it used to be. He never once thought that Sasuke would do such things as this. To lie and deceive them from the start. I thought what? Sasuke see him off, that I would become noble after my return. Sasuke was finally face to face with him, just a few feet away. Wake up, Naruto. Stop living in your perfect little world because it doesn't exist. Sasuke's emotionless and pitchless words, see, though they weren't really as hurtful as other things he'd heard, they still stung. Mostly because it came from Sasuke, the guy he once thought of as his best friend and his brother, and a little bit because he knew Sasuke was right. All his life he lived wanting the world to be perfect, to be anything other than what it really was. Face it, this is me. It always has been and always will be. To believe that there was something better out there, there had to be. Life couldn't be just pain and torture. He desperately held on to that notion, needing it more than anything. As Naruto bowed his head in disappointment and defeat, Sasuke took every opportunity he had. And just as quickly as Naruto, he delivered a blow to his face and sent him soaring up. Naruto landed a couple of feet from where Sasuke stood. Naruto would have winced in pain, but whenever he was lost in his thoughts, it was pretty hard to break his demeanor, which was still currently displaying defeat. Sasuke was right. The world was not as he would imagine. It was harsh and brutal and cared not about the individual. That was the truth, and he just had to accept it. However, may it have been another person that Sasuke was talking to, maybe it would have succeeded, but you see, Naruto was not that person. No, if there was one thing Naruto was good at, it was faith. Believe it. You say that, but do you even believe yourself? Naruto was now standing up. Is this really you now? Are you so bent on calling the world a doomed place for everyone that you believe in nothing else? He continued. Naruto tried reaching out to him with his words. Whatever plan that Sasuke had in his spirit was meaningless because it had failed, if it ever had the chance of succeeding to begin with. Naruto wanted to tell Sasuke that he only held his idealistic views of the world because of what he went through. It wasn't fair to Sasuke that it all happened to him. Sasuke, you're a better person than this, I know it. But his words fell on deaf ears. Sasuke wasn't listening to what Naruto was trying to tell him. No, he was too frustrated with everything else right now to care anymore. Who was he to think that he knew everything, what he has been through? Naruto had no idea what it was like, so therefore his words were useless to him. You know nothing, Naruto. Sasuke said before he rushed at him. Their fists collided with each other as a gust of wind exploded from the impact. The two jerked backwards an inch or two, but held their positions nonetheless. Orochimaru stood on a balcony projecting from the second floor. He watched as the two ninjas at the lower level traded punches and kicks, and occasionally a few jutsus. He was a little concerned about Naruto. He didn't want his next body to be battered and wounded after the transfer, so he decided to ell in, after letting things play out a bit more. Naruto slid across the room, leaving a trail of dust in front of him. His back smacked against one of the many columns in the room. Don't talk to me like you know. Sasuke picked him up by the collar with one flexed arm. You know nothing about me. Naruto kicked him away using both his legs. Sasuke stumbles backwards as Naruto regained his footing. I was there, Sasuke. Naruto was now looking intently at him, his eyes showing sympathy and pain. We were a team. Or a team. Sasuke just away his statement with a laugh. You, me, and Sakura. Naruto wondered where he was keeping Sakura at. He could faintly smell her, but his smell wasn't keen enough to pinpoint exactly where in this big dungeon she was in. An infuriating feeling awakened within Sasuke after hearing him mention her name, like it was his to say. I never needed a team, and Sakura either. Sasuke said coldly. Look at you, so wretched and useless, why would she ever want you? He hated hearing her name with that voice, no, he just hated that voice. It made his blood boil with hatred and malice. Sasuke ran towards him, his bruised body and tired mind forgot everything and all he knew was that he wanted to kill the guy in front of him. Naruto was quick to avoid his punch, but not enough to defend himself when Sasuke appeared out of nowhere beside him, snatching his neck like it was nothing. Why do talk like you hate us so much? Naruto asked with so much compassion for his lost friend. How could he even ask that? Why do I talk? Sasuke tried to compose himself so that he didn't snap his neck from pure anger, or rather from resentment and jealousy. That's right, he was jealous of Naruto. Always had been. It just took him this long to admit it. He was jealous that Naruto was happy and he was miserable, and he was jealous because Naruto was above him. In everything. Love, courage, determination, and strength. Sasuke, you're my friend, and no matter what, I will always think that. Naruto barely let out from his suffocating hold, but you're just confused and lost, but Sasuke's hold tightened a little. We'll always be here for you, because we love you. Something within him cracked. It was the same barrier that not too long ago Sakura managed to fracture a little. After all he had done to him, to all of them, he was still willing to call him his friend and to be there. This feeling, it was. No. Naruto was trying to make him weak, to lower his defenses so that he could get the upper hand. That fool, did he really think it would work? Sasuke smirked. Hee, you almost had me there, but your little plan has no effect on me. Sasuke pulled back his fist to deliver one final destructive blow to his face when. Sasuke-kun. The new voice had the both of them freezing in what seemed to be surprised astonishment. Sasuke, however, didn't release his hold on Naruto's neck, it stayed firm as it was before. Naruto also didn't move. They were too stunned to hear that voice that they couldn't do anything, leaving them completely immobile and probably exposed and defenseless. Sasuke-kun, stop. Sakura's voice was a little shaky, partly because she was still under the effect of the poison and partly because she wasn't fully awake. What are you doing? Sakura staggered across the chamber to another column in the room. By instinct, Naruto tried to free himself from Sasuke's grasp so he could hold Sakura, and in a blink of an eye, another Naruto appeared out of nowhere and landed a kick on Sasuke's head, sending him down into the ground. Naruto wasted no time and ran to her side. Sakura was breathing heavily, her body betraying her as it gave in and she fell to the ground. She was still too weak to stand up on her own. Fortunately, Naruto was already by her side and aiding her. Sakura-chan. I'm so sorry, so sorry. I tried to get here as fast as possible. But, Naruto was attacking her with words she couldn't understand. Sorry. Here. She didn't know. She just knew that she suddenly woke up in a dark room with no one but her and a bed in there and with the memory of what happened before she passed out. She felt dizzy, sick, and just uncomfortable throughout and all she wanted to do was try and figure out why Sasuke just had Naruto in a choke hold, and where she was. NNA, Ru, 2. She asked weakly as her strength slowly, very slowly, came back. She still had this weird feeling in her gut that made her uneasy, but she didn't care to find out what it was at the moment. Sakura-ch, that was all he could muster up before a feeling kicked itself on his face and thus sending him flying the other direction. Sakura stiffened in unpleasant tension. Naruto. Sasuke was again at his feet and back to deliver more to Naruto. He turned his direction to Sakura, whose face showed that of fear, confusion, compassion, sympathy, and all the while disgust towards him. He was bothered by her look, he hadn't expected to see her up and to see her with that expression on her face, as if she felt sad for him and at the same time hated him. However, Sasuke didn't have time to think about the meaning of her gaze, or the fact that he wanted to think about thinking about her gaze. He held out his one hand and offered to help her up. Sakura, you have to get away from here. He said with just a little speck of concern as he finally spoke with more enthusiasm than he had ever before in his life. Why he wanted to get her away from here, he didn't know. Why he even cared to wonder why was an even more confusing thought. He had never shown such concern towards anyone, or did he? His mind was so boggled up with different memories of the past he didn't know which ones to believe. Did he ever show concern towards anyone but himself? As far as he could remember, he wasn't even allowed to show such human emotions. Why then did he feel this should have been foreign feeling as something familiar, something he had already felt before? The gaze of confusion and hurt she was giving him baffled his otherwise stable thoughts to the brink of making him draw back and retreat to his ever so clouded mind. So much so that his instinctive response formed the same bewildered look that she gave him unto his face, and they stared at each other as if they were seeing each other for the first time. Sakura also noticed the conflict within him. She saw through his eyes as he fought a war within his mind about whatever it was he was so perplexed about. It wasn't like him at all to be showing this. All the time she had known him, she had never once seen him show such eyes. He had always been determined, had always known what he wanted. Seeing him now so lost and helpless in his mind made her sympathize. As lovely and touching such a moment like commiserating was, Sasuke had never been too fond of them. You know what, whatever, do what you want, I don't care. Ostensibly that's what he wanted him to think. Truly he was scared that maybe he was after all, lenient, for a lack of a better word, for her, for Naruto. For them both. And in any case you look at it, Sasuke had always had a soft spot for them, he had just buried it in him after the day he left. Sasuke, but before Sakura could say anything more, another body puffed its presence in the room, right beside where Naruto was. He, well done Sasuke-kun. Orochimaru chortled in the chamber. Well done. Immediately, Sasuke had forgotten his previous revelation and was beside Orochimaru in an instant. Naruto was still lying on the ground from that nasty kick on the head he received from Sasuke, but slowly he was becoming aware of his surroundings. You have Naruto now give me the cure as you had promised. Sasuke said with no emotions whatsoever. You'd think that his recent not-so-exposed expose would have him jittering uncomfortable nervousness to get the hell out of there before he could think more about what happened, but it didn't. Sasuke was as placid as he could be and maybe even more. The cure, but of course. Well, Sasuke waited for him to hand over something. But all Orochimaru did was look at him with a sadistic evil look on his face. The ever-growing enigmatic feeling in him only grew more. Sasuke. Sakura's voice echoed in the chamber as she slowly got up. He turned his gaze to her, who in turn turned her gaze at Naruto, who is now on his toes. For a moment, gazes that yelled out a million words but none at all traded among them. Then there was a blazing feeling that suddenly emerged out of nowhere. It didn't take much to realize that it was Naruto's chakra that was sent raging in the room. As Sasuke turned his gaze back to Naruto, he realized that searing chakra was nothing short of an anger scorching within Naruto towards him and Orochimaru. Kabuto. Only the anger was much more directed towards the snake than to him. Orochimaru was amazed as to how powerful his chakra could boost in a matter of seconds, and he was rather excited about it. Naruto lunged at him in a second, but Orochimaru had already expected this from him. He dodged the punch like it was nothing. Naruto didn't give up though, he was too fixed on fracturing Kabuto's face to realize that he was really fighting Orochimaru, who seemed to be having ease in fighting him. Naruto summoned 4 other replicas of himself, hell-bent on the guy in front of them. 2 had positioned themselves around his back, and then 1 on either side of him while the real Naruto stood immediately to his front. Orochimaru was not at all intimidated, but rather amused by the boy's will. Screw trying to keep the product untouched, there was always time to heal, for now he just wanted to enjoy this. See just how much his body could do and take. Kabuto smirked. I knew you couldn't stay away from her, Naruto-kun. Kabuto said to him trying to fuel the flame that he started. The blaze in Naruto's eye only invigorated. Shut up. Naruto roared. Then Naruto with his clones attacked. The 2 from either side were the first to move, trying to distract Kabuto by rushing to him on both sides. Then next to move were the 2 from the back, drawing out another set of kunai to plunge into his body. The instant that all 4 attacks connected, Kabuto vanished and was replaced by a log. Suddenly, 2 of the clones puffed away when Kabuto reappeared from nowhere to attack. Naruto had anticipated that he would do that. Just as quickly as Kabuto appeared, Naruto was already behind him thrusting a kick on his back. Naruto called out 2 more clones and all 5 of them ran after his falling form. They all threw their respective weapons, but the cloud of dust that encircled his body when he fell made it impossible to see if it had worked. When all was clear, Kabuto was nowhere to be found. The 4 other clones vanished, leaving Naruto alone in the chamber. He decided to take this time in Kabuto's absence to check up on Sakura. He ran to where she was. Sakura-chan. The girl slightly opened her eyes. God, she was so weak. Her frail body silently shook under his arms, she felt cold and burning all at the same time. Naruto brushed aside the hair that was hanging loose. Sakura-chan. Her feeble self could not detect the worry in his voice. She was slowly fading off again. Her eyelids weighed heavier and his soothing touch only made her want to go to sleep. In the corner where he stood petrified, Sasuke could only wish now that he was somewhere else but here. Anywhere else now than the hellhole he had fallen into. The smirk that Orochimaru plastered on his face made him realize that he. Sakura, she's dying every minute she spend in this place, he thought to himself. The realization that struck him not too long ago made him completely stiff with horror. It fossilized him to that one spot. Screw everything. After all he had done for that bastard of AF, this was what he repaid him with. Deceit and trickery. Orochimaru was probably laughing his ass off by now, mocking him for his stupidity and selfishness. How could he have not known? Of course Orochimaru would do it, of course he would. He should have known. That smirk was enough to open his eyes to the truth. Orochimaru had never intended for him to leave that place alive. No, he would not leave this place alive. Sakura, in order to cure her. I have to Sakura-chan, just hold on a bit longer, K. She couldn't understand what he was saying, but she trusted they were good. His voice alone was all she needed to calm down. To stop her shivering from the somehow freezing non-existent wind in the room. To stop her mind from slipping away into a horrid pain of confusion and hurt. Sakura-chan. I'm so sorry. He fought the tears back, knowing that it would only frighten her more than help her. She no longer heard anything after that. All she could focus on was at the fast approaching blade coming towards them. Everything fell silent, leaving only her lost in the moment. Naruto was so caught up on whispering things to her to realize that death was coming in the form of a merciless little blade. She saw through slow motion as she summoned up what little strength she could muster, and before Naruto could do a thing, she had reversed their position so that she was now at the receiving end of the blade. Her back was turned to his and she faced the forthcoming end with arms wide open. Naruto's eyes widened when he saw what she was doing. For his part, Sasuke had also seen the blade, but was too late to stop it. Sakura. They both yelled in unison. Then she fell into his arms as tears cascaded from his eyes. The deafening silence took over. She could no longer hear him. His warm tears fell on her face and she couldn't help but reach up and wipe them away. Naruto's hold on her tightened. Sakura-chan. His voice was alienated by his fleeting tears and the gut-wrenching pain he felt. If he breathed any bigger, his chest would have exploded due to the anger building up in there. He held her so tight and close to her. God, please don't. No, don't do this. The warm tears never halted, but only grew fiercer with every second. Wave after wave he was washed by his scalding tears. No, Sakura-chan, please don't go, please, don't, he whimpered and wailed, but she never responded. Naruto frantically attempted to draw the bee back. Even though it pained her, he pulled the vile knife out of her. Her scream of pain did not help his panicked state at all. Every inch of his body was terrified. He finally settled on just holding the piece of fabric at the hole, making sure that it provided enough to hold it all back. She had become quiet and she was no longer shaking from pain. Her arms settled themselves on her sides. Her breathing slowed every second. Sakura-chan, his voice had S on him, making him talk so quietly it was inaudible. I'm sorry. Sakura could only see his lips moving but could not hear the words he was trying to say. She was no longer cold, warmth had completely left her body. Her eyes became devoid of life and her face was colorless. She could no longer move a fiber in her body. I love you, Naruto. The last thing she did was smile. His tears have halted. He no longer needed to cry, he could no longer cry. He looked to where he was holding the bee-soaked garment that used to be his shirt and back to her lifeless eyes. There was nothing. He couldn't make a sound. His hands had let themselves free from what it was trying to hold back. Her eyes haven't blinked. For a brief moment there was nothing but silence. And then shock struck him. Sakura-chan. Sasuke had seen the blade coming, he had seen it coming before it was even released. He knew Orochimaru was there, he felt it. He knew what he was going to do, for God's sake he saw him throw the blade. He knew Orochimaru was trying to test Naruto's awareness to his surroundings. Orochimaru knew he wouldn't have Naruto, never mind that the girl might try to save his life. Why didn't he move? The next thing he knew was Sakura had been struck with a tiny sword on her stomach. It was happening way too fast for anyone to do anything. He had seen death coming and he did nothing to prevent it. He watched her fall to Naruto's hand, pale and That was the final threshold. No amount of apologies could help bring her back. No amount of compensation, atoning for his sins could ever justify the inaction that he had ultimately decided upon. He no longer cared. He felt guilty for trying to run away the moment he realized that in order to have saved Sakura, he had to be the one to S. And now, he didn't have that choice anymore. But he could still make it better. He had one last thing he could do to help, before it was all too late. Orochimaru, you're going to S, and I'm going to make sure of that. He said to himself before he finally took a step. Naruto was utterly silent. Nothing had gone right tonight. He lost someone precious to him, and he was numb to insanity. He showed no emotion, no life, everything had been drained out of him. And now that his inner demon came knocking, he was more than willing to let him play. Nothing was worth it anymore. If it killed him, he would let the QB take him down. He would let the monster in him burn this place to hell, if only to revenge her death. Death was certain tonight. Death was the only comfort he would resort to. Konoha. 4 months later, Naruto stood by the grave. It was already summer and the sky was ruled by the hot sun. He looked at the open field around him. He remembered the dreadful night when It ached too much to think about it. He had lost someone so precious to him at the hands of that bastard. It shouldn't have ended like that. They had so much more to face. So much more to do together. The one that should have been here wasn't. He bended down and looked at the engraving on the stone. He could still remember the day, no matter how painful it was. Sasuke had fought Orochimaru by his side. Without him, he would probably be S2. Together, they managed to weaken Orochimaru enough to kill him. After Orochimaru's death, Sasuke have given Naruto something he thought he had lost, but the price was Sasuke's life. Naruto took one final look at the grave before he stood up. Uchiha Sasuke, beloved friend and teammate, the last Uchiha. Saving a friend. The sunlight shined through the room. Naruto awoke with a groan as he stepped out of his bed and into the bathroom for a shower. When he was done, Naruto took a step forward to the mirror to examine himself. His nose then caught the scent of the greatest creation of men. He smiled. Naruto, breakfast is ready. Ran to the kitchen. Hey, there you are, ramen on the table if you want any. Naruto just stared at the owner of the voice. What? The smile on his face grew bigger and he took a step forward. Naruto. He ignored it and took another step. Barker, what are you up to now? Good morning, Sakura-chan. The girl couldn't help but smile at his childlike manners. Good morning, Naruto. You triggered it, Naruto, but it's drawing power from me. Sasuke to save Sakura. Naruto had thought that but turns out, she just passed out from being so tired. It took Naruto so much explaining and tissues to tell Sakura that Sasuke had saving both their lives. That he said, I'm sorry for everything, even though I don't deserve forgiveness or is worthy of apologizing. I'm sorry. Tell Sakura I'm sorry. Those were his final words, before Orochimaru ended his life. Orochimaru had taken Sasuke's life in the end just like he had intended. Just when the two thought they were out of hell, Orochimaru still had a little left to kill Sasuke as he walked away. Naruto gave the last blow to end Orochimaru's life for good. Before Sasuke he told Naruto about the cure. Naruto couldn't believe it, Sakura could still live. But Sasuke would Before he could think about it anymore, Sasuke slipped away and Naruto was left alone in the room again. He then heard faint sounds of someone moaning, and much to his surprise that he nearly fainted, Sakura was on her feet again. Sakura didn't remember that and so when Naruto rushed to her and captured her in a bone-crushing hug, she was just a bit startled but nonetheless happy to return the hug. Naruto, look at us, we've been living together for nearly 4 months and I still can't cook a nice breakfast without you doing something. Yeah, look at us. The bells rang and the music played. The newlywed couple walked down the aisle as they acknowledged the people around them yelling, congratulations, and various other things, and all the while the smile that has been adorning their faces since this morning never ceasing to fade, but rather grew even wider as they walked closer and closer to that final threshold to face the world, together. It was a joyous occasion, one that would never be forgotten. As the bride and groom took their final step from the church, the groom turned to his wife and, with only his look as a warning, picked her up and carried her through the door. Everyone clapped and rejoiced. And little known to them, they were about to change their life once more. As they spend their first night as man and wife, they didn't know that that was all it took to create another life. And in 9 months' time, Naruto and Sakura would become parents. The end. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.